back with another hard-hitting breakdown of global events that could shake up the automotive and energy sectors. Canada, long intertwined with the United States in trade, is shifting gears. With tariffs, political friction, and economic uncertainty brewing, Canada is looking across the Atlantic for new trade partners in the European Union and the United Kingdom. But what does this mean for the auto industry, Tesla, and America's energy dominance? Buckle up as we break down the 7 game-changing reasons behind Canada's pivot away from the US. Reason number 7. Trade war ignites. The US tariff tsunami. By early 2025, trade tensions between the US and Canada hit a new high. President Donald Trump slapped a 25% tariff on all Canadian imports, excluding oil and energy, which faced a 10% levy. His administration framed the move as a crackdown on illegal border activity, but the economic fallout was instant. Canada fired back with its own 25% tariffs on American goods, setting the stage for an all-out trade battle. Then, in a shocking escalation, the US extended the tariffs to steel and aluminum imports, hammering Canada's vital metals industry. With supply chains already stretched thin, this sent shockwaves through automakers dependent on Canadian metals. Manufacturing costs skyrocketed, sparking fears of layoffs and price hikes on both sides of the border. Analysts at the Bank of Canada projected an 8.5% plunge in exports, which could trigger job losses, weakened consumer spending, and an economic slowdown. With businesses scrambling to navigate these protectionist policies, some Canadian firms even considered moving operations south to sidestep the tariffs. For Canada, this was the last straw. Diversification became the name of the game. Reason number 6, CANZUK, the next big trade alliance. With US trade relations crumbling, Canada is accelerating discussions around CANZUK, a potential trade alliance between Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and the UK. This partnership could bring freer trade, easier migration, and stronger diplomatic ties. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer have already revived trade talks, seeing CANZUK as a way to counterbalance US economic unpredictability. With shared legal frameworks and economic structures, the concept holds promise. But it's not without obstacles. Massive geographic distances, economic imbalances, and immigration policy differences pose hurdles. While supporters argue CANZUK could strengthen Canada's global standing, skeptics question whether it's feasible. One thing's clear: Canada is determined to secure stable trade routes beyond the US. Reason number 5, strengthening the EU connection. Canada's trade with the European Union has surged by 65% since the Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, CETA, went into effect. With the US imposing tariffs, Canada is doubling down on its EU strategy. In 2024, Canada's Minister of Trade, Mary Ng, met with EU officials in Brussels to further cement trade relations. Talks focused on critical minerals, clean energy, and tech industries, aligning with both parties' net zero ambitions. Beyond trade, Canada and the EU are strengthening their Green Alliance, focusing on low-carbon manufacturing and sustainable resource management. Additionally, Canada's association with Horizon Europe, an EU research program, allows Canadian firms to tap into billions of dollars in funding for innovation. By deepening economic ties with the EU, Canada is future-proofing its economy and ensuring a more diversified global trade network. Before we delve deeper, do us a favor and smash that like and subscribe button. This helps us reach more auto enthusiasts just like you. Now let's shift gears and steer towards our next point. Reason number 4, post-Brexit, the UK factor. Brexit shook up global trade, but for Canada, it opened doors. The Canada-UK Trade Continuity Agreement, TCA, ensured that post-Brexit, 98% of Canadian exports to the UK remained tariff-free. However, 2024 saw cracks in this arrangement. The UK halted talks on a more comprehensive free trade agreement, FTA, over disputes on agricultural imports, specifically Canada's hormone-treated beef and British dairy products. The fallout? British car exports to Canada now face a 6.1% tariff on models with high EU-sourced components. Despite this hiccup, leaders in Canada and the UK are reigniting trade negotiations in 2025. The UK's decision to join the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPTPP, in late 2024 further expands trade opportunities. For Canada, the UK remains a key player in its post-US trade strategy, especially as it strengthens its ties within the broader Pacific Trade Network. Reason number 3, shifting gears, Canada's energy market expansion. For decades, Canada's energy sector has been fueling America's demand, with a whopping 60% of US crude oil imports coming from north of the border. But as trade tensions escalate and tariff threats loom, Canada is rethinking its strategy and eyeing global markets for its energy exports. One of the biggest moves in this transition? The LNG Canada project in Kitimat, British Columbia. With pipeline installations completed in October 2023, this project is set to ship its first liquefied natural gas, LNG cargoes by mid-2025, primarily to Asian markets like Japan, which may lean on LNG if its renewable transition slows. Meanwhile, Alberta is doubling down on natural gas production, with Environment Minister Rebecca Schultz touting Canada's shipping advantage over US competitors in the Gulf Coast. And let's not forget the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion, TMX, which launched in November 2024, streamlining Canadian oil exports to China. These moves solidify Canada's foothold in international energy markets, ensuring it's no longer at the mercy of US trade policies. Reason number 2, trade infrastructure, Canada's blueprint for independence. With US trade tensions rising, Canada is doubling down on infrastructure and policy reforms to diversify its economy. A key move? A $3.9 billion Canadian high-speed rail project linking Quebec City to Toronto, streamlining trade and transport efficiency. The Patrick J. Ottensmeyer International Rail Bridge, a $100 million investment, further strengthens supply chains between Canada, the US, and Mexico. To boost small businesses, the government is injecting $158.5 million into its regional economic growth through innovation program, helping SMEs expand globally. Canada is also ramping up free trade agreements, with its latest pact signed with Ecuador, its 16th New Deal in just 8 years. By modernizing infrastructure and securing diverse trade alliances, Canada is ensuring long-term economic resilience, reducing its dependence on a single market, and gaining a stronger foothold in global commerce. Reason number 1, the people's verdict, a nation ready for change. Trade policies shape economies, but public sentiment can be just as powerful. And right now, Canadians are making their stance crystal clear. They're ready to break away from US economic dependence. A February 2025 Angus Reid poll found that 91% of Canadians want the country to reduce its reliance on US trade. It's not just talk. People are changing their habits, with 65% planning to avoid traveling to the US and 67% opting to steer clear of American-made products. This shift isn't just about trade, it's about national identity. Canada's economic policies and consumer choices are aligning with a vision of self-reliance, sustainability, and global integration. With the Trudeau government ramping up economic summits focused on trade diversification, there's a clear mandate to explore new partnerships and secure a more independent future for Canadian industries. This moment marks a turning point in Canada's economic history, a transition from reacting to US policies to actively shaping its global trade destiny. The final lap. Where does Canada go from here? Canada is clearly in the driver's seat when it comes to diversifying trade. With Europe, the UK, and Asia opening their doors, the potential for new economic alliances is vast. But can Canada truly distance itself from the US, or will geography and existing ties make it impossible to fully break away? Could CANZUC and expanded energy exports pave the road for a new economic powerhouse? We want to hear from you. Do you think Canada can pull off this trade shift successfully? Or will the economic realities force it back into America's trade network? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe to Piston Pundit, your ultimate pit stop for vehicle updates